This is the story of Gavin Henderson. 2017, Dunwoody, Georgia. 27-year-old Gavin moved in with his mother and his three siblings, who are all girls, by the way, after doing several years in a Florida prison for various crimes he committed. He was short tempered, easily angered. He seemed like he didn't have it all in the cabeza. Because after being home for only a few months, Gavin was at home with his 21-year-old sister, Sierra Henderson, and he was trying to get her attention of some sort, but she completely ignores him. This made Gavin offended, so offended that he tried to argue with her. And when she still wasn't paying him no mind, he punched his sister in the face, then threw her to the floor and left the room briefly, only to return with a black knife in his hand. Sierra bolted to her room to call their mother, but Gavin followed her, took the phone out of her hand, and put the knife to her face and told her to call the police because he was ready to go. When he seen Sierra started to cry, he immediately left the apartment. She was able to call her mother and let her know what happened, and her mother rushed home. When she got home, she called Gavin back to the apartment. When he arrived back to the apartment, he still had the knife in his hand. His mother told him that Sierra could press charges on you and you can go back to jail. And this is when he started going off again. His mother said, "You can't be in this house with this knife or any other weapon." So she took the knife, hid it along with every knife in the apartment, and put them in her closet. June 18th, 2018, just 2 months later, Gavin's mother and his 21-year-old sister, Sierra, went off to work. That leaves his 15-year-old sister, Kiera, and his 11-year-old sister, Z, there with him. At around 3 p.m., Gavin goes to use the restroom, but Kiera's in the restroom. And when he told her that he had to use the restroom and she didn't get out immediately, the two started arguing. Now, the 11-year-old heard the arguing, but it was just a typical day in the household. She didn't really think nothing of it. Gavin went to go get a clipboard to try to pry the door open. As he's doing this, he has his cell phone in his hand. And just when he was about to get the door open, Kiera slammed it again, knocking the phone out of Gavin's hand and breaking it. Kiera came out the restroom, but at that point, Gavin was enraged. So enraged that he hit Kiera. That's when she called her big sister Sierra to let her know what happened. That's when they both threatened Gavin that they were going to call their mother. That's when Gavin went to his room to get a knife. When Kiera seen the knife, she ran out of the apartment screaming, banging on neighbors' doors. Now, the 11-year-old is now outside of the room trying to see what's going on because she heard the screaming. When she opened up the door to the breezeway in the apartment, she seen Gavin stabbing her sister to death. She yelled for him to stop. Then she ran back in to call 911. The neighbors in the apartment complex also called 911 because they heard the screams and they heard her knocking and yelling for help. When the police arrived on the scene, Gavin was nowhere to be found, but when they seen Kiera laid in the breezeway of the apartment building, they knew she was dead. It's documented that Gavin stabbed his little sister 47 times, including 2 in the face and several in the back. Before the manhunt can even begin, the police get a 911 call from a convenience store clerk. Gavin had walked a half a mile to a convenience store and asked the clerk to call 911 because he just killed somebody. The clerk said after he started dialing 911, Gavin placed a bloody knife on his counter and started wandering around the store. When he heard the sirens approaching, he walked out with his hands up, surrendering. As the police was putting him in handcuffs, he told them, "Just take me to the county. And if anybody mess with me there, I will kill them too." When they took Gavin in for questioning, they told him that his sister did not make it. And he said, "Thank God." They asked him what happened, and he said he blacked out, but continued to tell investigators exactly every detail of the crime. That's not how blacked out work, dummy. He said he was in a trance and he only snapped out of that trance when his 11-year-old sister yelled, "Stop." Gavin ultimately pled not guilty. He said that this was an accident, a crime of sudden passion. He simply had to use the restroom. His defense team was going for voluntary manslaughter, which is crazy. In July of 2021, a jury found Gavin Henderson guilty of malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, cruelty to children in the first degree, and possession of a knife. He was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. I try so hard not to wish death upon people, but it's shit like this that makes it tough for me. Cause what the your baby sister? Come on, man.